Hello, I am Reverend Heather Miner, and I am the pastor of North Long Beach Christian Church, where we call you into the service of all that God is and calls you to be. Today, my at-home worshipers, we conclude our worship sermon series around the Holy Spirit. You know what it's like when you meet someone who is so at peace that you feel at peace when you're in their very presence. That torrent of words that usually just kind of comes out of you becomes just a trickle. Your restless eyes stop seeking and instead land on a butterfly that has landed upon a blossom right beside you. As you walk with this person, you relax and everything about you is at peace. Well, I want us all to become this kind of person, to be so connected to the Holy Spirit, so full that you can bring that kind of peace into the world, and joy, and love, and faith into every situation. I want you to be fully alive in the Spirit. And so here's some examples of what that looks like, of what the fruit of the Spirit looks like. Catherine Marshall, whose book we've been following, tells of a couple that her and Peter met one day at a church they visited. And they were moved and so connected to this couple that they stayed connected. But unfortunately, something horrible happened. One day, the couple's daughter was kidnapped. And 2 days later, the father of the kidnapped child was in church and was singing Amazing Grace. And suddenly he broke into tears because he knew right then that his daughter Patty had passed from this life into the next. But he wasn't left just with a void. Instead, he heard her say, Patty say to him, "It's okay, Dad. I'm all right." When the detectives arrived later that day to inform the parents that they had found their daughter, and they had found the two ones who had killed her, there was a total calmness. They were astonished. Because as Catherine writes, though these parents did not understand the why of the senseless murder any more than the rest of us, there was a total calmness and there was no bitterness towards the killers. And it continued on in the days and weeks ahead. For Catherine writes that those who attended the memorial service for Patty will never forget the power and the beauty and, yes, the shining joy of the Lord that was present that day. Now, I'll admit, there's something in me that wants to cry out to the parents and say, come on now, this is too goody-goody. You got to get angry. You got to get busy. You got to go out and you got to seek justice. Someone needs to pay for that horrific wrong. But then I remember the book by Rest My Grandmother's Hands. And I recall how an unsettled soul unsettles the souls of all those around them. And scientists add their findings to his insight. They explain that when we are unsettled, it's that frontal lobe that's going flapping, the flapping frontal lobe. It's the animal brain in us that has been activated. That oldest part of our brains, that part that doesn't reason. And it tells our bodies to respond right away in three ways: to fight or to flee or to freeze. The couple in Catherine's story, though, they were moved not by this animal reflective response, but rather with the sweet Holy Spirit. And their response was noticed. The way they moved through their own anger and their grief changed those around them, infected those around them. So distinct and holy was their response. Catherine wrote of them in her book. Now, honestly, they did not sit around and talk to each other and say, now we have to use this horrible thing to witness to people. They were simply so grounded in the Spirit that it overrode their animal brain. A fruit of the Spirit, my friends, peace just permeated their life. If you want to be a person of peace, ground yourself in the Holy Spirit.